The wind kicked up dust that clung to Evelyn's face as she knelt by the trough, filling a tin pail with water. The sun pressed hard against her shoulders, her breath slow, steady, like it always was when she worked. A faint creak from the front gate made her look up, squinting through the glare. 3 riders. Strangers. She straightened, pail in hand, heart tightening the way it always did when trouble came uninvited. "Afternoon, ma'am," one of them called, sliding from his saddle, boots crunching dry earth. She nodded, cautious, eyes flicking to the rifle leaning inside the doorway. "Can I help you?" "Just need some water," he said, smiling without warmth. "Been a long ride." She dipped the pail again, keeping her hands steady. "There's a stream half a mile west." He stepped closer, the others still mounted, watching. "We ain't got time for detours." His eyes dropped to her hand, the ring on her finger. "Your husband around?" She didn't answer. A horse neighed in the distance. Relief flickered across her face when she saw Thomas riding over the ridge, pushing his bay hard. The lead man turned, nodding to his companions. One of them dismounted, rifle still in hand. Evelyn moved first, fast, throwing the pail aside and lunging for the doorway. She didn't make it. A rough hand caught her arm, spinning her around. The rifle butt slammed into her stomach, driving the air from her lungs. She crumpled, gasping, dirt in her mouth. Thomas's voice, loud, angry. "Get your hands off her!" A shot rang out. Her ears rang, vision blurred. She saw Thomas stagger, clutching his chest, blood soaking his shirt. Another shot, then silence. She crawled, hands scraping at the ground, reaching for him. His eyes found hers, wide, afraid, mouth working for words he couldn't form. His head fell back. "Please!" Her voice broke, hands shaking as she pressed them against his wound. "No, no, stay with me." Boots kicked dust near her head. The lead man crouched, tilting his head. "Wasn't supposed to get messy. Guess you'll just have to lie here a while, sweetheart." He stood. The others laughed. They didn't even bother to search the house. The sound of hooves faded, swallowed by the wind. Evelyn lay still, cheek pressed to Thomas's chest, feeling the warmth leave him. Her breath came shallow, her ribs screaming. The sky spun above her, too bright, too far away. She closed her eyes. Time slipped. Hours, maybe more. Flies buzzed, drawn to blood and sweat. Her body wouldn't move, wouldn't respond, and she welcomed the pull of darkness. A shadow passed over her face. Not the sun. A man's voice, soft but firm, spoke in a language she didn't know. Hands touched her shoulder, gentle, but she flinched. "Easy," he said, this time in English. Her eyes cracked open, vision hazy. A man crouched over her, dark hair, braided, sharp lines carved into his face like the land itself. She tried to speak, to push him away, but her strength was gone. He looked down at Thomas, then back at her. No words. Just something in his eyes, something like recognition. He lifted her, slow, steady. She cried out, pain flashing white-hot, but he didn't stop. Her head lolled against his chest, her heartbeat a weak, distant drum. The world tilted, faded. His voice again, low, constant, like the hum of the earth. She let go. The sound of wind scraping across stone filled her ears before anything else. Evelyn's eyes fluttered open, dry and heavy, the ceiling above her rough and low. Not her home. Her body ached, every breath pulling at her ribs like a rusty hinge. She shifted, a groan escaping before she could stop it. "You ache." The voice was near calm. Her head turned, slow and unwilling, to find him sitting by the fire, stirring something in a blackened pot. He didn't look up. "Where?" Her throat cracked, more air than words. He stood, crossed to her, offering a tin cup. She shrank back, eyes wide, but he waited, still, holding it out. "Drink." Her hands trembled as she took it. The water was cool, sharp against her cracked lips, and she coughed, the sudden wetness shocking. He crouched, watching, not moving to help, just letting her find her breath. "You not die," he said. "You live." She blinked, unsure if it was a question or a fact. He didn't wait for an answer. Back at the fire, he scooped from the pot, poured something thick and steaming into a bowl. The smell made her stomach twist, not with hunger, but with something closer to fear. He set the bowl beside her. Eat. She looked at it, then him. Why? He sat across from her now, arms resting on his knees. Because I find you. I take you here. You should have left me. Her voice shook, bitter. He didn't reply. Her eyes scanned the small space, stone walls, dried herbs hanging, a single blanket draped over her. Beyond the door, light flickered, dusk or dawn, she couldn't tell. Who are you? She asked. Talon. She waited for more, but nothing came. Where is he? Her voice broke. My husband. Talon didn't move, didn't flinch. Dead. She turned her face away, eyes burning. I know. Silence stretched long, filled only by the crackle of the fire. Her fingers tightened around the cup, knuckles white. How long? She asked. You sleep many suns. 4, maybe 5. Her stomach twisted again, this time with something deeper than fear. She tried to sit up, pain shooting through her side, breath stolen. Talon reached out, steadying her without force. No good. You wait. I can't. She pushed his hand away, teeth gritted. I have to bury him. He stood, walked to the corner where a small bundle lay, her dress, bloodied and torn. He picked it up, set it near her. You not ready. But we go. Soon. She stared at the fabric, the dried brown stains. Her hand reached for it, fingers brushing the cloth like it might vanish. Why help me? She asked again, softer this time. Talon looked at her, eyes steady. Because I know death. I not want you meet it. The fire popped, sending sparks into the dark. She lay back, the blanket rough against her skin, but warm. Her body fought sleep, but her mind gave way, drifting into a place where Thomas's face still lived. When she woke again, the light outside was softer, golden. Talon was gone. She struggled upright, biting back a cry as her ribs flared. The bowl still sat beside her, untouched. She forced a spoonful to her mouth, the taste earthy, unfamiliar, but filling. The door creaked. Talon entered carrying firewood. He set it down without looking at her. I want to go, she said. He shook his head. Tomorrow. Maybe next. I have to, she snapped. Talon met her eyes. You go, you fall. You die. Then no one bury him. Her anger faltered. She looked away. I help you, he said, voice low. But you listen. The quiet that followed wasn't empty. It held something, agreement maybe. Or resignation. Night came, and with it, dreams of blood, of Thomas's voice calling her name. She woke with tears on her cheeks, the fire low, Talon sleeping near the door, knife at his side. She watched him, the steady rise and fall of his chest, the stillness of a man used to waiting. Morning brought the first step outside. The light stung, but the air was clean, sharp with pine. She leaned on the doorway, legs weak, but standing. Talon stood a few paces away, looking out over the hills. You ready? He asked. She nodded, though her legs shook. Together they walked, slow and silent, toward the place she last saw her world end. The soil crumbled dry and soft between her fingers, the weight of each handful heavier than the last. Evelyn knelt by the grave, silent, breast shallow, her body still aching but steady enough to finish. The sun had barely risen, casting long shadows over the small rise where Thomas now lay beneath the earth. Talon stood nearby, watching but not interfering, his face unreadable. She pressed her hand flat against the mound, the warmth of the ground already seeping away. She didn't cry. There was nothing left for that. He liked it here, she said, voice rough, almost to herself. Said the land was honest. Talon shifted, just slightly. Good place. She nodded once, more to feel herself moving than anything else. Standing took effort, her legs weak, ribs still pulling tight with every breath. Talon offered no hand, but waited until she was steady. You go back now? He asked. She looked toward the distant ridge, the line where her home had been, or what was left of it. Smoke long gone, but the memory lingered sharp as ash in her mouth. No, she said. Nothing to go back to. He turned and walked, slow enough for her to follow, and they made their way to the shelter without speaking. The walk took longer this time, the distance stretching as if the land itself wanted her to feel every step. Inside, the fire was low, the air heavy with wood smoke. She sat near it, rubbing her hands together, staring into the embers. Talon moved about the small space, collecting herbs, grinding them with practiced ease. His hands, rough but careful, worked without sound. You live alone? She asked, not turning. For a long time. Why? He didn't answer right away, just set the ground herbs aside and stirred the pot over the flame. War take my family, he said at last. I leave. Walk. She nodded, watching the flicker of light dance over the stone walls. War took mine too. Silence again, but different now, something shared lingering in the space between them. Days passed, marked by small things. Her strength returned in bits, carrying wood, fetching water, moving without pain. Talon was always near, never hovering, just there. When she struggled with the bucket at the stream, he stepped in, took the weight, said nothing. One evening, as dusk settled, she watched him from the doorway. He sat on a rock, knife in hand, carving. The soft scrape of blade on wood was steady, almost soothing. What are you making? She asked. He held it up. A figure, rough but taking shape, an animal, maybe a horse or a deer, she couldn't tell. Memory, he said. For them? He nodded. She stepped closer, the cool air raising goosebumps along her arms. Do you believe they can see it? She asked. Talon looked at her, eyes dark and calm. I see it. That enough. She didn't answer, but sat near him, the quiet of the evening settling over them both. Later, she found herself humming, low and without thought, a tune her mother used to sing. Talon listened, head tilted slightly, not interrupting. You sing good, he said when she stopped. I hadn't sung in years, she replied. The next morning, he was gone. She woke to the empty shelter, the fire cold. Panic flared, sudden and sharp, as she stepped outside, scanning the horizon. No sign of him. Hours passed before she heard the hoofbeats, faint but growing. She stood, heart pounding. Talon rode into view, leading a second horse, saddled and packed. You ride, he said simply, dismounting. She stared at the animal, then at him. Where? Place better than this. Her hands clenched at her sides. I don't need saving. Talon met her gaze steady. I not save. I walk with you. She looked away, the wind tugging at her hair. The horse snorted, shifting its weight. I buried my pass, she said. So did I. She stepped forward, placing a hand on the saddle. The leather was worn, cracked, but strong. All right, she whispered. We ride. And they did. The town came into view just as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the plain. Evelyn pulled her shawl tighter, dust clinging to her skin as she rode beside Talon in silence. The road narrowed, fences rising along the edges, and the shapes of buildings stood still, watching. She hadn't set foot near this place since before the raid, and now every step of the horse brought back sounds and faces she'd hoped to forget. Talon rode ahead, eyes forward, posture calm but alert. As they entered, heads turned. A man paused mid-swing at the forge, hammer held in the air. A woman on a porch froze, the clothesline she tended swaying gently. Evelyn kept her gaze down, but she could feel them, questions, whispers behind cupped hands, the chill that wasn't from the evening air. They stopped near the general store. Talon dismounted, tying the reins, and looked to her. You stay, he said softly. I can go in. No need. She nodded, her throat tight, watching him disappear inside. She could hear voices rising, a mix of greetings and tension. The door creaked, boots scuffed the floorboards. She looked across the street, empty but for a boy sitting on a barrel, staring with wide eyes. She offered a small smile. He didn't smile back. Talon returned with a small sack, his expression unchanged. We go. As they turned to leave, a voice called out. Evelyn? She froze. Evelyn Harper? The sheriff. Old coat, worn badge. He stepped from the doorway of his office, hand resting on the butt of his revolver, not threatening, just there. Didn't expect to see you back. She looked at him, steady. Didn't expect to be. He glanced at Talon, then back at her. Folks been talkin'. Say you've been out there with him. I have. Trouble finds folks who don't know where they belong. Talon didn't move, but the air seemed tighter around him. Evelyn stepped forward, chin raised. I buried my husband on my own. Where were they then? The sheriff's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing. She climbed back onto her horse, wincing as the saddle creaked. I won't bother them, if they don't bother me. Outlaws still out there, he said. Best watch yourself. Talon led them out, back to the open land. Neither spoke until the town was far behind. They won't come for us, she said. They will, he replied. The fire crackled low that night, the stars sharp against the black sky. Evelyn sat close, hands wrapped around a tin cup, eyes lost in the flames. They won't ever see you, she murmured. Talon sat across from her, sharpening a blade with slow, steady strokes. I see you. A silence settled between them, not heavy, but sure. She set her cup down, fingers brushing the earth. You knew, didn't you? Coming here, what it would stir. I knew. Why bring me? So you know too. She lay back, staring at the stars. They didn't blink, didn't move, just watched. What happens when they come? She asked. We stand. The wind whispered through the grass, carrying with it the memory of home, of loss, and something new. Something that felt like choice. The first sign came with the smoke, thin and sharp against the morning sky. Evelyn caught it just as she stepped from the shelter, a faint streak curling above the ridge. Her heart beat faster, fingers tightening around the water pail in her hand. Talon stood by the horses, watching the same line of smoke, his face unreadable. They've found us, she said, though he hadn't spoken. He nodded once, slow and certain. Her legs moved without thinking, pale forgotten. Inside, she pulled open the small chest where the rifle lay, its weight heavy, too familiar. Talon followed, his voice low. Not run? She shook her head, loading the chamber with slow, deliberate hands. No. Talon stepped beside her, laying out a small bundle, knives, a pouch of bullets, the carving knife she'd seen him with so many nights. He handed her a small sack. Trap the path. I show you. They worked through the day, silent but for the rustle of grass, the click of metal, the soft thud of boots on earth. The ridge, narrow and rocky, became a line of defense, marked by snags and careful steps. Evelyn moved carefully, breath held tight, sweat clinging to her back. Her hands steady now, set snares just as Talon had shown her. By dusk, the smoke was gone, but the tension remained, thick as the air before a storm. They ate little, waiting. Talon sat by the fire, sharpening a blade in slow, measured strokes. Evelyn watched him, the firelight catching the scars on his arms, the steady rhythm of his hands. You've done this before, she said. Yes. Does it end? He looked up, meeting her eyes. Sometimes. The night was long. Every sound outside seemed louder, every gust of wind a warning. Evelyn lay with the rifle close, her fingers resting on the wood, eyes open. Talon sat near the door, still as stone. They came before dawn. A shout broke the silence, followed by a crash. The first trap sprung. Evelyn shot up, heart pounding, rifle raised. Talon moved fast, out the door, vanishing into the darkness. Voices echoed, harsh and angry, calling her name, calling his. She waited, breath tight, every muscle wound sharp. A figure appeared near the firelight, stumbling, cursing. She aimed, finger on the trigger, but froze, recognizing the face from the raid. One of them. He turned, saw her, and grinned. Thought you'd be dead by now. She fired. The sound tore through the morning, and he fell, twisting in the dirt. More voices. Another shot, this one not hers. Screams, then silence. Talon returned, blood on his hands, eyes hard. Two left. Evelyn stood, feet steady, moving outside. The sky was lightning, pale and cold. She followed Talon, rifle raised, past the traps, past the first body. They found the last two near the ridge, caught between rocks, one wounded, the other still armed. He saw them, raised his gun, but Talon was faster, the knife flying true. The wounded one tried to crawl away, breath rasping. Evelyn stepped forward, rifle pointed. He turned, eyes wide, begging. Please, no. Her hands shook, just once, then steadied. She looked to Talon. No more, she said. Talon nodded. The man lay still, his breath slowing, until there was nothing left to say. They stood together as the sun rose, casting light over the broken land. Evelyn lowered her rifle, eyes closed, breathing deep. Talon stood beside her, silent. It was done. The wind carried no threat now, only the soft rustle of leaves, the quiet hush of a world returning to stillness. Evelyn sat on the step outside the shelter, a cup of coffee cooling in her hands. The ground was scarred, reminders of what had passed just days before, but the air felt lighter somehow, as if the land had exhaled with her. Talon moved nearby, repairing the fence they barely needed, but his hands worked with purpose, as if keeping the place whole meant keeping them whole. She watched him, noting the way he paused now and then to glance at the horizon, not for danger, but for habit. He didn't speak much in the days that followed the fight, and neither did she. Words felt small compared to what had been done. When he finally sat beside her, the sun was dipping low again, casting the world in gold. He didn't look at her, just set a small bundle down between them. What's that? She asked, voice soft. He opened it, revealing the carved figure she'd seen him working on for days, now finished. A horse, rough but strong, its form steady, its head raised. For you. She traced the lines with her fingers, the wood smooth where his hands had worked it. Why? He shrugged, watching the horizon. You stay. You fight. This is you. She smiled, small but real, holding the figure close. I wasn't sure I could. You did. They sat in silence as the sky darkened, the first stars blinking into view. The world felt wider now, not because it had changed, but because they had. Later, inside, she folded the blanket near the fire, her movements slower now, not from pain, but from peace. Talon added wood to the flames, the light catching in his eyes. You think they'll come again? She asked. No. You sure? No, he said, a faint smile at the edge of his mouth. She stepped closer, resting a hand on his arm. If they do, we'll be ready. He nodded, and they stood there, side by side, not needing more. In the morning, they walked the land together, past the ridge, to where the grass grew taller and the earth hadn't been touched. Evelyn knelt, pressing her hand to the soil. Here, she said. Talon looked down, understanding without question. They worked quietly, marking the spot, placing stones in a circle, not as a grave, but as a sign. A place of beginning. The days stretched long, filled with small things, tending the garden she started, mending clothes, watching storms roll in and pass. Talon hunted, brought back what they needed, and in the evenings, they shared the quiet, the firelight, and the steady rhythm of a life remade. When strangers passed by now, they didn't stop. The land spoke for them, rough and uninviting to those who didn't know better. But to Evelyn, it was home. She stood by the doorway one evening, watching the sun set again, each one a little different, a little more theirs. Talon joined her, arms crossed, eyes steady. You miss it? He asked. What? The old life. She thought a moment, the question heavier than it seemed. No, she said. I miss him. But I don't miss what's gone. He nodded, and they watched the last light fade, the stars taking their place. The night was cool, the fire warm, and when she finally closed her eyes, there were no dreams, only sleep. Real and deep. In the stillness, in the place between fear and peace, they had found something more than survival. They had found each other.